Hello, everyone, and welcome to the awards for the 2019 C-SPAN competition. I'm Pete Peterson. I'm a TV4 student here at TC, and I'll be emceeing for the event this afternoon. I'd firstly like to congratulate all the TC students who participated in this competition, and everyone here at TC, in TV or otherwise, are excited to see what comes of these students in next year's competition. That being said, we're here to honor two teams in particular for their outstanding entries, which landed them a placement in this year's Student Cam competition. We'll be starting off the event with some wise words from our superintendent, Gregory Hutchings.
So great. There's quick words, right? First off, I have to say, and I just got to talk to our 5 students here, I had to say I'm so proud of you all. One, for the fact that we're able to offer a program like this at TC Williams, and then 2, that you all take responsibility and take on the opportunity and you go out and get awards for us, to make us look really good. So we appreciate that. I also want to thank your families because, I was just talking to some of your parents here, and there would be no you without them. And it's important for you all to constantly thank your parents for this wonderful opportunity too. And I know a lot of, superintendents, they may not say, go thank your parents all the time, but I say thank your parents, then you thank your teachers, and then you thank yourself, right? Because it does take initiative from you all, each and every one of you, every day, to be able to be acknowledged like this. But it is truly an honor for me to serve, our wonderful community here in Alexandria. And I didn't expect anything less than what you all have received. So I'm just really proud of you, and on behalf of the school division, I just want to say congratulations and thank you for your work.
Thank you, Mr. Hutchings, for your kind remarks. Now, without further ado, I'd like to bring to the stage the people responsible for this event in the first place. Without their hard work, there'd be nothing to honor in the first place. So, in no particular order, I'd like to bring up C-SPAN veterans Charlotte Despard and Angelina Hunt.
Let's switch places for the microphone. Okay, so this is our second year doing this. Last year we talked about abuses of executive power, and this year we wanted to talk about immigration. And so our C-SPAN documentary, Chasing the American Dream, is about the immigration struggles plaguing American society and government over the course of American history. So for example, we explored past difficulties in turn-of-the-century immigration with George Mason American history professor Allison Landsberg, followed by narratives of the immediate border struggles in an interview with El Paso border journalist Bob Moore. Alongside these individuals, we thought it was really important to interview the immigrants themselves, and so we went to TC's own International Academy to interview the students to see how they feel about the situations that everybody's just talking about, to just hear it directly from the first-person source. And so we just wanted to see what they think about the stigmas and perceptions surrounding the crisis. Now, it wouldn't be complete without exploring the rhetorics of the opposite side of the debate, so we sought out Mr. Matt O'Brien, who is a representative from DC's own Federation for American Immigration Reform, a group that aims to inform the public of the dangers of immigration and immigrants to propel restrictive legislation.
Our main goal with this video was to let our interviewees do the talking to maintain the sincerity and value of their perspective on the issue. We believe that each of these unique perspectives work in conjunction to create a broader and more cohesive view of America's immigration crisis, and we're pleased to hear that the representatives at C-SPAN agree. We would like to thank everybody that helped with this project, including Autumn Basara as an extra, Kevin Granados as a translator, Mr. Humphrey and Mr. Elias for coordinating the International Academy interviews, our friends in the International Academy, Mr. Philippos Bello, who helped us coordinate our DC Man on the Street for the second year in a row, and of course our lovely teachers and families. Finally, we would like to thank C-SPAN for the opportunity and recognition.
So I guess we're watching.
The question, what does it mean to be American, is older than the U.S. itself. Over centuries, many different answers have been provided. Some say that just being born here makes you American, or becoming a naturalized citizen makes you American. Perhaps pursuing the American dream makes you American. But at its foundations, America was shaped by immigrants. From the Pilgrims to Ellis Island, multiculturalism is ingrained in the American spirit. From immigration sprang diversity of background and lifestyle, creating the famous American melting pot. After nearly 250 years of cohabitation and cooperation, the American people have worked together to achieve one goal: make our country better. Our school, T.C. Williams, houses an international academy where students who recently emigrated to the U.S. learn in the most effective way possible, despite the struggles of moving to a completely new country.
I think that the American dream is what our parents think, and that it is better for us to be in this country.
Bueno, es como una oportunidad que nosotros tenemos para poder salir adelante.
Some people don't care if we're immigrants, like they're not racist.
Y hay otras personas que también nos miran mal, tal vez porque les cuentan malas cosas sobre nosotros, ya, pero cuando en verdad nos conocen, habemos personas que también somos buenas.
No tengo opinión para lo del gobierno, o sea, no me afecta, no siento que me afecte a mí.
Nosotros salimos con miedo algunas veces a las calles, todos tenemos derecho a estar aquí y que yo creo que el presidente está mal porque él nos acusa a nosotros de malos, aunque en realidad por uno tal vez todos pagamos. Hay bastantes personas que también somos buenas.
The International Academy reflects the diversity and unity of countless cultures across the world into our one nation. While our country and immigration policies are far from perfect, the only way forward is improving the system.
And I think most Americans don't have a full understanding of how bad things are in Central America. So it's a large uphill fight. Most of these families we're seeing arriving right now will eventually be ordered to return to their home country, even in the face of very strong evidence sometimes that they'll face persecution or even death if they're returned home. The truth is immigrants commit crimes at a far lower rate than native-born Americans. And unfortunately, the media in the United States haven't done a really good job either of explaining the realities of what's happening on the border.
Despite how crucial immigrants have been to the growth of the United States, many people still view them as a threat to the country they know and love.
We don't really have a long history of welcoming immigrants. With each wave of immigrants, there's been a real backlash by people who called themselves, ironically, nativists. Because nativists were the people who believed that Native America was being contaminated by immigrants, but of course they weren't referring to actual Native Americans, right? They were the people who had been here for several generations, considered themselves to be native of America.
So much of our language around immigration has changed over the years. And you're right, this is a nation that everybody agrees is built on immigrants.
This begs the question, why are nativists really so against immigration? Are their national security concerns justified? And if not, could it be possible that their views are driven by the otherness of immigrants? We decided to ask the Federation for American Immigration Reform, a DC-based organization advocating for more border security and less immigrants.
The organization that I work for, FAIR, advocates overall reducing immigration because we believe that immigration has gotten out of control and has gone outside of historical norms. Immigration isn't a racial issue because immigrants come from all over the world. We also have a huge amount of crime and national security threats connected to illegal immigration. Mass migration that is not controlled tends to have negative effects on the economy, on national security. So we're not by any means anti-immigrant, we're actually pro-immigrant, but we think that in order to give the immigrants a fair chance, as well as to preserve the interests of the United States, there are certain measures that have to be put in place to control immigration. I think that immigration is an important part of US history, but that notion that you can have a nation made out of immigrants is a little bit silly. People may come here as immigrants, but eventually they morph into Americans.
To understand the opinions of our nation, we decided to ask the people. Let's head into Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and see what they're thinking.
To be American means that you are born in any nation that is in North, South, or Central America.
It's not as much about where you're born. It's more of a set of ideals.
It's very difficult journey for me to get where I am.
But I wish they would stop saying that every immigrant is violent.
We work very hard, we pay taxes.
I think it's up to the original people of the land, and that nobody is illegal in a country that was stolen property.
Think of it as a glass of milk that you have, and think of me not just as an additional drop of milk in that glass, but like sugar in it. I can come here and make everything sweeter.
Whether we like it or not, the United States is a nation of immigrants. It's a melting pot of thousands of cultures, skin colors, and ideologies. We don't all have a lot in common, except for the hard work, the creativity, the innovation, and the boldness to expect something better of society. So, what exactly makes us American? Well, I would argue it's the American spirit.
Self-expression is what it means to be an American. From the birth of this beautiful nation, the Founding Fathers created the Bill of Rights in order to ensure Americans would be able to express themselves. This includes the freedom of press.
Well, in the United States, we have a very long and robust tradition of free press. It means that the government cannot tell independent news organizations, whether they're newspapers, magazines, or TV platforms, what to cover, what not to cover. So that freedom of press, of course, it's an extension that not just journalists, but every American has to express his or her opinion.
Even with the given freedom in the document, people worked to suppress, to silence the media. As early as 1798, the Alien Sedition Acts by Alexander Hamilton targeted people who spoke out against John Quincy Adams or the Federalist Party. This is the first example of a threat to American freedom of press.
Freedom of press, in many ways, is what a democracy embodies, insofar as it sort of allows ideas to be debated, discussed among people who hold disparate views, and then the best idea can win.
Although scholars may argue the media is expressed fairly without censorship, people have tried to hush the media for political or other benefits. According to the Gale database, censorship occurs when the government, a private institution, or an individual regulates or suppresses writing, speech, or any other media for more political or security purposes. Countries all across the world do not have the freedom of press and will actually censor writers who write or speak out against the government. For example, Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi Arabian journalist who wrote columns for the Washington Post, was often critical of the Saudi Arabian government.
He was killed in the Saudi Arabian consulate in Turkey by a rogue assassination mission allegedly sent by the Prince of Saudi Arabia.
In the past year, 81 reporters have been killed, and there are numerous threats targeting reporters.
In many countries around the world, the media has been muzzled. In some countries, in fact, the only media in the country is controlled by the state.
It's America. And if you look around the world, this is a whole lot better place to be than most of the places in the world.
Is America doing anything to protect these journalists from threats? Bias is always present in the media.
Citizens never get to know the real truth. They don't get to see the two sides of the coin, as you could say. They don't know what's happening on the other side. The opposition is not given a chance to speak.
Media based on false facts also causes a great deal of harm to the public. For example, in 2016, a false news story went viral, which included the running president candidate, Hillary Clinton. The story included false accusations on the candidates claiming she ran a child sex ring outside a pizza restaurant. This story caused such a stir that the 28-year-old Edgar Welch fired shots at the pizzeria while attempting to investigate the issue. This is a modern example of misinterpreted media. What can the United States do to prevent these occurrences without obstructing the freedom of press?
That's really something we need to do in this country and around the world, is to teach people media literacy, to understand how stories are put together, and to be able to discern between what is some sort of propaganda, what is truth, and what is spin.
The issue of censoring press continues into the modern United States. Our president, Donald Trump, has keyed the term fake news. Is our president making an accurate claim, or is he harming the public by steering them away from valuable news sources?
He has also dismissed distinguished publications as fake news, again for simply doing their job, and has threatened to change libel laws that will weaken the First Amendment, making it easier for him to attack and sue the press. This antagonistic relationship between the president and the press is not only beneath the dignity of the office, it is also dangerous for our democracy.
How does this censor freedom of press? Best said by TheConversation.com, in practice, the term fake news undermines the intellectual values of democracy. Is this issue as severe as people make it out to be? Should the president be allowed to deny a media outlet a question simply because of their political views? Everyday reporters and journalists are silenced and threatened all over the world. The freedom of press is one thing which makes America great.
One of the integral parts of our democracy in this country. Without it, how would citizens know to make a decision to vote, to the issues that they should be concerned about, what's happening around the world? It's critical.
The government must work to protect this right given by the Bill of Rights, rather than find loopholes to oppress the media. The United States must safeguard the media, as tragedies involving reporters and journalists have become way too common nowadays. In order to keep the citizens of our glorious nation informed, the government must develop laws and policies guaranteeing journalists freedom. The media plays a vital role in shaping citizen opinions on certain issues. The highlights of American right to think individually. The media shapes America. How has the media affected you? How will you press for freedom? And that's what it means to be American.
Again, congratulations to these guys. I'd now like to bring up a representative from C-SPAN to present the awards.
All right. Isn't it so fun when they put you out on the spotlight and you're like, what do I do? But you guys are pros, so you guys are pretty good. But thank you all so much for coming. My name is Vanessa Torres. I work with C-SPAN Networks. Just right up the street in Washington, D.C., and we're so excited to be here. I think I've come to T.C. Williams, I don't know, a handful of times within the years, and I'm always just so excited to celebrate the students and all their amazing accomplishments that they do here. So a little bit about C-SPAN. I'm sure many of you know we're a television network. This year we celebrated 40 years of C-SPAN, you know, giving you that nonpartisan coverage of what's going on in the government. C-SPAN is funded by the cable industry as a public service, and with that we're able to do really great education incentives like Student Cam, and that is part of our C-SPAN classroom part. So I'm gonna let Tom, I never get to have folks from our education team here, so I'm gonna let him talk to you guys a little bit about C-SPAN, and then we'll present some guests that have some awards for you guys.
So I'm Tom Gray, and I'm a part of the education relations team. So one of our initiatives each year is Student Cam, which really allows us to hear all of your voices. So this year was our 15th year of running the C-SPAN Student Cam competition, and this year we also had the pleasure of giving out our $1 millionth dollar. So our prize money is awarded through our education foundation, and from that goes all of the awards that we give out to students. This year we had almost 3,000 entries, and then we had over 6,000 students participate. So out of those, we picked 150 total winners, and then even out of those, TC was one of the few schools to have multiple winners, which is really, really something. So with it, it's always great to see students' voices, and that's one of the things that fits into our mission. And as Congressman Beyer mentioned about multiple perspectives, that's something that it's really great to see students dive into how different people might see it. And hopefully you all learn something throughout this process, both video editing, how to interview people. You guys had some great interviews, but also how to learn some of these skills these career and technical skills that you hopefully learned as well. So with that, I'll throw it back to Vanessa.
Awesome, thank you, Tom. So one of the things we love to do when doing these ceremonies, of course, we love to brag about you, highlight you and your efforts in your school, and we love to invite your federal, state, and local elected officials. So today we have some special guests here with us. One of them is Congressman Don Beyer, who's right up in Washington, D.C., representing you in Congress. And it is such a treat to have you here today, and we're going to have you come up and say a few words, and then after that, we'll present some awards. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, absolutely. Well, I was thrilled to be invited. I want to offer three things. First, C-SPAN's history, 40 years old. Apparently, when it was first negotiated, Tip O'Neill was the speaker, and he was very worried about getting C-SPAN with the camera coverage on the floor. So he made this deal that the camera would only be on the person that was speaking, and it wouldn't pan all over the audience, which is cool because if you've ever been on the floor of the House of Representatives, usually there's nobody there. There'll be like 15 or 20 people, and the other 435 are off doing hearings and meetings in their office and things like that. So when you get up there to do a speech, a 1-minute speech, like I get to preside when we have the week off, and everybody's back in Texas or Montana or California, and they call me because I live in Alexandria, and I come over, and we do the Pledge of Allegiance and the little business and the prayer, and there's nobody in front of me. And it gets really insecure, and then you get home, and the phone's been ringing off the hook with people from California, Texas, Montana who've been watching you on C-SPAN. So it's an incredibly powerful thing. Second, to Lena and Shar, thank you for talking about immigration. It's one of the most important issues in America today. It's very contentious. Did a great job showing both sides of it, and especially in Alexandria. So we live in the 8th District, which is one of the wealthiest, most educated districts in the country, and 37% of our homes speak a language other than English in the home. The diversity is everywhere. And to Jason and Ben and Karina, thank you for the freedom of press. There's a great monument on the Appalachian Trail in Maryland, up just west of Frederick, to all of the American journalists who've been killed over the years. It's a very haunting place, but the freedom of the press is very, very important. As they say, Thomas Jefferson used to say, if he had to choose between a government, no press, or press and no government, he'd take the press and no government. That would lead to a better democracy. And the last thing I'd offer is my wife for the last year has been working with Ken Burns. She's creating the first ever Library of Congress Ken Burns Award for historical documentary filmmaking. Because we're discovering that in America right now, almost everybody gets their history from documentaries. They don't get it from the newspaper or from books or that they don't read. But everyone knows the Civil War through documentaries or World War II. Ken Burns' documentary on country music is coming out in September. So the whole idea is to reward you guys, the next generation of documentary filmmakers, to make sure that you've got a really path forward for the good of all Americans. So congratulations. I'm very proud that Alexandria gets 2 winners again this year. Thank you all very much.
All right. So with that, we also have some other special guests here with us, so that let them do a quick hello and wave. We have Councilmember Aguirre here, right there. He'll give a nice hello. Hello. Thank you so much for coming. And we also have from Senator Warner, Mark Warner's office, we have Scott Price here with us as well. So thank you so much. And I have some certificates for the students on behalf of the senator as well. So now I will let Tom do the fun stuff, because I get to do it all the time around the country. So Tom, I will kick it to you. Here you go.
All right. So we have 2 different, almost none. So we have 2 different certificates we'll give you. So I'll call you up by the teams, and then we can do a quick picture, and then we'll move on to the next team. So starting with Pressing for Freedom, we're going to bring up Benjamin. And also with Pressing for Freedom, we're going to have Karina come up. And finally, you probably know this is coming, Jason is also coming. So if you guys just want to hold it up quickly.
A little photo. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Then we'll take more after, but you know, just in action right now.
And then also from Senator Warner's office, he sent us letters of recommendation, or letters of certificate as well. So Benjamin and Jason. And Karina. All right, so round of applause for the Pressing for Freedom. All right. So for Chasing the American Dream, a Nation Built by Diversity, honorable mention, Angelina. And then also Charlotte, Chasing the American Dream. And then similar, we also have letters from Senator Warner's office as well. So a round of applause for them.
Thank you, guys. Alrighty, so that pretty much wraps up our ceremony, but I definitely want to thank the winners, the schools, family and friends, guests that participated in this video, our elected officials. It really, I'm sure, hopefully, you guys feel encouraged to continue to share your views and what you're doing. We at C-SPAN are always just so excited to celebrate your accomplishments. And yeah, for those that are seniors next year, we hope to see you again. And those that are seniors, we have some really great internships at C-SPAN. So definitely check those out. But again, thank you guys so much for having us. To Vilma, who has been such a wonderful C-SPAN advocate for us. She's always so great. And all the wonderful teachers here, thank you so much for having us. And I think we'll do some photos now, and I think they have some snacks back there. So, and that concludes the ceremony. So thank you so much.
All right, everyone can go eat now.